Hello and welcome to Northeast Ohio Media Group Candidate Debates. I'm Bruce Geiselman, and today we're hosting a discussion about the Olmsted Falls School Board race. Three candidates are going to be running for two openings on the school board this November. Among the candidates will be Ed Dean, the gentleman seated next to me here. He is a semi-retired consultant. He'll introduce himself to you in just a moment. But first, let me tell you about the other two candidates. They are not here this evening. We're not able to make it. Greg Sertman is an incumbent. He was elected to the school board in November 2011. And the other candidate is Brian J. Weisbarth. He is the son of current school board president James Weisbarth, and James Weisbarth, as I understand it, is not seeking re-election. Brian Weisbarth is a certified public accountant. Ed, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about why you're running?
Okay, my name is Ed Dean, originally from Connecticut, but I've lived in the community since 1972. I'm concerned, very much concerned, because the Olmsted Falls School Board has not done their job. They've violated their own laws and policies, and I'm concerned about that. It's not fair to the students, not fair to the parents, not fair to the teachers, and not fair to the taxpayers. I have been active in the community. I'm a former Olmsted Falls councilman at large for 4 years. I've been a hospital trustee. I've instructed high school and college courses from history to human resource management, business law, intro to business, office language skills, among other disciplines. I've written, presented seminars to banks. I've advised banks and other entities. Formerly, I was a non-conforming loan specialist licensed by the state of Ohio. I've been in the banking industry. I was a credit manager of a corporation, among other things. I'm very active in the community. I volunteered for Olmsted Falls Public Schools when my 3 children were going through the Olmsted Falls School District educational system. And again, I am very concerned that the Olmsted Falls School Board has not done their job. I'm here to address that and rectify it if I can.
Okay. I guess we can get into it a little bit later about why is it that you feel they haven't done their job?
I feel they haven't done their job because they violated their own bylaws and policies under their authority of powers, purposes, and their code of ethics. And I can verify that and documented that.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about your work or life experience, and why does it make you a good candidate for the school board? Do you have a particular area of expertise, finances, curriculum, or some other facet of experience that makes you particularly well qualified?
I have a number of areas which I feel I can bring to the table being the Olmsted Falls School Board. Number one, I have undergraduate and graduate degrees in business administration from Defiance College and Baldwin Wallace University. Number two, I've instructed high school and college, and I've been in the classroom, and I know what's involved from an instructor point of view and from an educational point of view. Number three, I have the concerns and the interests of the taxpayers in mind. I'm very concerned that no one is presently representing or listening to the taxpayer, the student, the teacher, or the parent. I'm here to address that.
Okay. What do you believe your responsibilities would be as a school board member?
My responsibility as a school board member is to ensure that the Olmsted Falls student gets the finest education possible. My function would be to work closely with the supervision in the school system to ensure that it's a smooth running system which is fair, open, and honest. It should be, the system should be transparent, it should not be contradictory, and it should be a good working relationship with the parents, the teachers, the students, the taxpayer, and the school supervision.
Okay. Now, the district unsuccessfully tried in 2013 and 2014 to pass 1.8 mil bond issues for enlarging and modernizing Olmsted Falls High School. And last May, that bond issue failed by only about 34 votes, or less than 1%. Would you be in favor of going back to the voters again for another try on this bond issue? And if so, how would you try to convince voters to support the measure this time?
Not at all. In fact, it would not, as the bond issue was written 2 years ago. That bond issue, if people read it, there was a disproportionate amount of money requested by the Olmsted Falls School District for land acquisition. Now, from drawing upon my experience in mortgages and lending, that amount of money they requested was disproportionate. The money that they currently use is not being spent effectively on items which the students in the school system need. I would also like to address that as well with the school board. Address it meaning affect change, a review of spending procedures, among other things.
I see. Do you have particular areas in mind where you think they're not spending the money responsibly?
Absolutely. One comes to mind right offhand. About 2.5 years ago, the Olmsted Falls School Board authorized spending in the amount of approximately $10,000. That $10,000 was spent for moving expenses for the former school board superintendent who went to Dublin, Ohio for a similar position. Yet, the school board complains that they don't have money for security cameras in the high school. I think it's a question of priorities. The student security comes before moving expenses for the former superintendent of schools. That's one example. Another example would be, I know for a fact that desks and equipment have been thrown away in the dumpster rather than try to sell them and utilize potential money on behalf of the students. The desks were just thrown away with no attempt to sell it. That's not utilizing taxpayers' dollars effectively.
Okay. Well, you mentioned that you would not be supporting a levy or a bond issue, at least the way that it was phrased. Yet the high school does have students attending classes in trailers in the parking lot. How would you address that, or do you think that's acceptable?
That in itself is not accessible, granted. However, what comes to mind is how effectively are they using taxpayer dollars? I don't think they're using them very effectively. As I previously cited, if they spend approximately $10,000 on moving expenses for a former school superintendent, then they could better use the money that they have within their fiscal budget. It can better be used. Once an accounting of that spending is done, then you take another look at the spending to see what can be done and can't be done. If there are limited options, then you look at the bond issue and make it realistic spending. The taxpayers have to tighten their belts in this economy. Why shouldn't the school board to get the most cost-effective dollars spent on behalf of the school and the students?
Okay. Well, staying on the topic of taxes, and you mentioned you don't think that they have been very prudent, I guess, in spending the money. But the district's last operating levy was 8.7 mils, and that was passed in February 2010. So we're talking 5 years ago. I mean, they've gone 5 years without seeking more money. But you still don't think that they've been effective in the way that they've used those funds? My
question then, thinking out loud here, is if they've gone 5 years without a levy, does that mean they've gone 5 years without addressing how they're spending the money? I question that. I don't think they're spending the money as effectively or as wisely as they can. That comes first. I think the first thing is to see how effective they're spending money instead of wasting money. Number two, I think, what are the priorities and how can they be addressed economically? Then we look at any consideration for a bond levy and how much the levy would be.
Okay. All right. And I'm sorry, did you mention, have you held elected? You did. You had city council in
City
Olmsted
council for
Falls.
4 years.
Okay, but this would be your first time on the school board then?
Correct.
Okay. Now, the Olmsted Falls School Board in March adopted resolutions supporting the new Common Core standards, but at the same time, they objected to what they called an excessive level of testing and assessments. What are your thoughts on Common Core, and can local school districts really do anything about it?
Okay, number one, yes, they can do a lot about it. Examining Common Core parallels Germany's educational system in the 1930s. It parallels it. The people who died in World War II especially were fighting for freedom of choice. Common Core doesn't do that. One learning experience for a student does not fit all students. One size shoe does not fit all. Common Core wants to standardize it. That's not fair. It's not right. Everybody learns at their own rate.
Okay. I just want to be clear, though. I mean, you're comparing Common Core to education in Germany in the 1930s. I mean, so are you
Correct.
Equating Common Core education to Nazi Germany?
I'm comparing it to the style of education that's being delivered, standardization. Standardization of the educational system does not allow for free thinking or free choice. Okay. It's the choice. It's the lack of freedom in Common Core, which is, among other things, is wrong. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's an invasion of privacy. That's also wrong with these. In the PARCC testing, unfortunately, the state of Ohio did not incorporate so that they can, under the Freedom of Information Act, see what was on the tests. That was wrong. From what I understand, questions on the test are political, they're distortive, and they're misleading. The parents cannot access what's on the test. As a result, instead of the teachers teaching basic education, what they're teaching is a test, taking away from educating basic concept of education. That's wrong. That's not fair to the students. It's not fair to the parents.
My understanding is Ohio school districts, though, are going to be transitioning away from PARCC, right, to a different testing system?
That is, well, yes, they are transitioning away from that, but there's still a major concern. They're going to air testing,
right,
which is, hasn't been, there's never been an open public forum on air testing, which is data mining. It's getting personal information about students and parents, which the school has no right to do. It's not educating, it's obtaining information, and then those cloud suppliers to the school boards, which Olmsted Falls schools, among others, engaged, they have no such obligation in writing to say that they will not pass on the private information of students and parents to outside entities. It's data mining. It's data mining, pure and simple. Also, PARCC was bad because they, for example, last February to May in 2015, there was approximately 246 hours of testing, of which a teacher was just teaching the test. Common Core was written by 80 people. Some of them were foreigners. The program is untested or unverified as opposed to verified that was in existence. It was untested, unverified, yet Olmsted Falls at one time had excellence in education, but the school board decides to go from excellence in education to standardization, which has not been verified. That's wrong. That's not fair to the students or the teachers or the parents, and that's wrong.
Now you're talking about excellence in education. You're talking about the grade on the state report card, or? I'm
talking about the award that Olmsted Falls School District had.
From the state.
From the state, excellence in education, and now they're going away from something which is verified to Common Core, which has never been verified or validated.
But school districts are required to do that, right, by the state?
But it's local control. It's local control. Even the superintendent, Dr. Lloyd, said for a long time, oh, it's local control. Yet they pass a resolution saying it's federally and state mandated without even talking to the public, the parents, or the teachers. on a public forum. They refuse communication in a public forum on what is best for the district. The district is their employer. The taxpayer is their employer. And yet they're ignoring it. We've requested on many occasions open public forum, and they're ignored. We've requested what the school board can do theoretically is have a review of public curriculum. Yet, when I've done my own analysis on 4 chapters in a history book, others outside, PhDs, educators, have done reviews on 37, I believe, is textbooks, and there's lies, distortions, omissions in those textbooks.
So you're unhappy with the textbooks at the schools?
As well. I presented that to the school board. I said, and they're obligated by their own bylaws to have a review every 5 years, and I'm told by the school board that we don't have money for that, but that's in their job description. That's wrong. It's unfair to the students. The students are getting wrong information in their textbooks. That shouldn't be.
Okay. So pretty much most of the school districts, I mean, there are only a few textbooks that the school districts are using, right? I mean, is there that much choice?
There are, number one, the school board should examine as many textbooks as they can for truth and honesty in the textbook so that the students are getting correct information. Okay. Right now, that's not being done. As a supplement, if they couldn't even find one, then they could have a supplement written by the local school board and presented to those instructors saying, here's what's wrong. The instructor should say, make corrections in class if need be. So it's not just a money issue, it's a values issue. Where are the ethics in the classroom and what's being taught? I think the Olmsted Falls School Board presently is ignoring their responsibilities to the students, the parents, and the teachers.
Okay, and you had mentioned we went to the school board. Who was we?
A number of residents, a number of parents. I've addressed the school board more than 5 times, 5, 6, 10 times. I've addressed that, and we're ignored. We've repeatedly asked for an open public forum, and that's in their bylaws of the Olmsted Falls School Board to say constant communication with the community is a priority. They've ignored our request. They said you don't need one. I've sent an analysis, a synopsis of reviews of textbooks, of 37 textbooks. That was sent by a state representative to Dr. Lloyd and over 4 months ago, and the same subject was brought up over 3 years ago, and he's ignored his responsibility. That's not right.
Okay. Well, what challenges do you think lie ahead for the Olmsted Falls School District?
Okay, many challenges. One comes to mind. There's a HB 212, House Bill 212. It's called LARA, L-A-R-A. It's Local Authority Restoration Act. I think one challenge is to basically return control of our schools to the local community, Olmsted Falls School District. With that, I think another challenge could be to involve the community, the parents, and the students' input, as well as the teachers, so that it can be an effective, cohesive system, working together for the benefit of the students and for the school system. Mm-hmm. Not just secular and say, well, this is the way we're going to do it, and we don't even want your input. That's wrong.
Okay. But this is an Ohio House bill that you're referring to?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, Olmsted Falls, I know you have your criticisms, but Olmsted Falls does seem to be succeeding academically. The district met all 24 of the state standards on its most recent report card from the Ohio Department of Education. And I guess you've kind of already addressed this, but what do you think that the school district could be doing different to improve academics?
Well, first of all, I would like to see the evaluation of how it was measured, number one. As a teacher, as a person who's been in the instructional industry. Number two, I want to compare that to other Common Core districts. For example, the state of New York on math, 70% of the people, of the students taking the math test failed. 70% at a cost of about don't hold me to this figure, about 200,000 is what I understand. Or that could be the amount that's costing Olmsted Falls School District. I'm not sure of that fact, but $200,000 is a lot of money. But 70% in the state of New York. I'm concerned, another point which is valid, I presented information to the Olmsted Falls School Board in regard to, in New Jersey, they are allegedly, Common Core is vein testing students without choice. Governor Christie was once for Common Core, now he's against it. I presented the factual information to the school board as a matter of record, and guess what? They failed to even incorporate it into the minutes of the meeting. A petition of 600 students was presented to the school board saying, get rid of Common Core in our system. That was not even in the minutes of the school board. That's against parliamentary procedure. One of their bylaws is to follow parliamentary procedures. That's wrong. That's unfair. That's, I think, unlawful.
Okay. Well, neighboring North Olmsted School District this year began mandatory random drug testing for most students, including athletes and those involved in extracurricular activities. Would you favor drug testing in the Olmsted Falls City Schools?
Number one, I don't know enough about drug testing. Number two, I'd like to see the program first to see what's all involved, how much is an invasion of privacy and how much is for a desired end, and weigh the two to address that when I have the facts. But
Okay.
just a theoretical, would I be for or against without knowing how it would read and how it would be conducted, I can't answer that.
Okay. Well, Olmsted Falls, Olmsted Township, and the school district have partnered on providing recreational activities to area residents. Is there anything more that the schools could or should do you think, to offer recreational programs to the community?
I think recreational programs, while not being familiar with all of them, I think it's a step in the right direction. I think of the Olmsted Falls newly, for want of a better term, enacted, I believe it's lacrosse program.
Okay.
That's a step in the right direction, I think, as far as not only fostering working together as students, but working together within the system for allowing every student to be all that they can be as individuals, as a challenge, rather than just say, it's a standardized community activities. No, it's an individual challenge and an educational, a move towards educational growth, which I think is good.
Okay. Well, is there anything else that you'd care to add in terms of what you'd like to see different with the Olmsted Falls schools? It's your opportunity.
Okay. A number of things. One, I think the Olmsted Falls School Board should follow their own bylaws and policies and review textbooks every 5 years. They have not done that.
Okay.
They should appoint a curriculum development committee, which is in their bylaws. They've done nothing. When I've addressed the school board saying, why haven't you done this? They didn't even know what I'm talking about. Okay, that's a concern of mine. As I mentioned, I sent it's about a 25, 30 page booklet, which was sent to Dr. Lloyd by a state representative entitled Education Indoctrination. He's ignored it. Okay, I'm concerned about the privacy and cloud computing. That's where different vendors, of software vendors, which the school district allows to come into the schools, they cannot or have not guaranteed privacy of data information of the students or the parents. The school has, that's fine, of the school information, but there's no, I would like to see in writing something where the vendors like Google, like air testing vendors, sign in writing saying, this is what the information we will release and what we won't release. Okay, that's because if they're and there's nothing signed to my knowledge. I'd like to see something signed.
There's nothing on the state level that guarantees the privacy of those tests?
There is, bear with me a second here, there is a PPRA, Protection of Pupil Right Amendment, which covers certain basic things, okay, on cloud core programs. However, they don't cover everything, and there's no laws or regulations that says that the cloud providers can't obtain that information for data mining and getting personal information from students when they shouldn't have to. There should be something in writing. So it's an invasion of student and parent privacy. Under the so the Protection of Pupil Right Amendment should be expanded and should be specific. Otherwise, the parents are being, the truth is being distorted, if not ignored. Okay, I believe that. Okay, there's a lot of intimidation going on with the Olmsted Falls School Board, with the students, with the parents, with the teachers, and people presenting information to the school board. For example, people presenting requests for change within the school board are called by the superintendent edu-haters when they're trying to make change within the system. That's wrong. That's disrespectful, unprofessional.
This was in a public meeting that he did this?
Yes, in a presentation that was made.
Okay.
Okay, edu-haters. When the information was presented about 3.5 years ago about distortions in the textbooks, the superintendent accused the presenters to the school board of being radicals. Okay, when I presented information to the school board and I was on my way out leaving, the superintendent apologized to people in the audience saying, "I'm sorry about the person presenting the information when I'm trying to affect change, make a positive change on behalf of the students." That's unprofessional. I have another concern. Another concern is that last approximately January, when there was snow, a school snow day, under the Dr. Lloyd watch, there is a picture on the web of Dr. Lloyd's face superimposed over Jesus Christ, saying, "Look, you got a free school day." Number one, at best, that's unprofessional. Number two, that's sacrilegious.
And where did this appear?
On the web, on the website.
On what website?
On Olmsted Falls School website. That's unprofessional and sacrilegious. Yet the school board did nothing to apologize or say, "We're sorry that happened. We didn't mean for that to happen." Yet,
I'm sorry, this is the first I've heard of. This was on the Olmsted Falls School's main website?
Right. Okay. And I can provide proof of that if you'd like.
I guess afterwards, yeah, if you
okay,
could.
Not on me, but
right.
I can.
Okay.
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 Oh,
all right.
Hang on. Another thing, the school board is not following, as I mentioned before, parliamentary procedures. Not totally, but they're not following some parliamentary procedures. I'm concerned when Dr. Lloyd, the superintendent of Olmsted Falls Public Schools, for the longest time said, "Oh, it's local control," and yet they passed a resolution, specifically 2015-03-21 and 22, saying that Common Core, advocating Common Core, which is federally and state mandated. That's a contradiction in terms. It's not local control if it's federal state mandated. That's socialism. However you slice it, that's socialism. And okay, and that was a resolution, not a motion, meaning that the public never was aware that that motion was going to be voted upon that night.
Okay, so you're talking about these are the resolutions. Are these the resolutions that I mentioned, the one where they support the Common Core standards but question the testing?
No. No, this is a resolution, not a motion. Big difference. A resolution saying that the school board supports Common Core, which is federally and state mandated. A motion would require 2 or 3 readings.
Okay.
A resolution was a one-time shot which was voted unanimously by the school board. That shouldn't be. There's a lack of transparency on information. And finally, I would say that there's been repeated public requests for open public forum on Common Core. There's been distortions in textbooks and the curriculum changes, which, for example, eliminating mandatory cursive writing or having a separate course for American government apart from American history, which you need two courses because you can't teach both effectively. They are ignored. Requests of those effects are being ignored. There's no communication. And parents' rights and their student education is being hampered, if not hurt.
But if you get on the school board, and even if you get the school board to agree with you, is there much you can do about Common Core? I mean, it is required.
Well, first of all, I would do whatever I could to urge that HB 212, which is a state bill, be passed. That's LAR, L-A-R, Local Authority Restoration Act, which gives authority back to the local school district, number one. Number two, because the school board can make curriculum change as an instructor, both history and a number of other disciplines, you have to separate American government from American history to properly address it and make sure that the values are properly related to the students. And instead of cursive writing being an elective or a one-time course offered in 7th grade, it should start as it did in the earlier grades so that people can read what they're writing. Imagine someone goes through the Olmsted Falls school system and they decide to be a market research analyst, and their job is to research the Declaration of Independence, but they can't read it because they didn't have cursive writing. Okay, that's contradictory to basic fundamental education. And the last thing, the teachers are being hurt because they are being intimidated or suggestively intimidated. And I've got this from phone calls, contacts, or talking with teachers, students, and parents. There's intimidation going on, implied or actual, concerning what Common Core is doing to their careers. A teacher spends $100,000 for their education, and now they're teaching a test which was written by 80 people, not one of them was an instructor. That's wrong.
Okay.
That's wrong.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your taking the time to come in here and share your thoughts with us. That's about all the time that we have, and we invite you to check back to cleveland.com to read additional stories about the debates, issues, and candidates for the upcoming election, and a reminder that early voting starts October 6th. Thank you again for joining us.